So, I haven't completely checked Ubuntu's business model. I don't know if Ubuntu sells an enterprise. I want to look up right now. The story I seem to be getting out of Ubuntu is that Mark Shuttleworth has already made his billions, and he just kind of wants to. He's willing to lose $1 million here and there every year, $15 million a year. He's okay. He'll make it, and he just wants to give something back. That's a story that I seem to be getting. But Ubuntu is now working on an enterprise product, I think. Is Ubuntu. In fact, I should probably just go to Canonical's website to find out. And once Canonical goes on that path, then you're going to see the quality of Ubuntu go down. It'll fall in line with the other ones. The problem is there's not a. If all the different people that volunteer for SUSE and Red Hat and Ubuntu, if there are already volunteers that work on Ubuntu at this point, were to focus on one distribution, we'd probably have a lot better of an end product. There'd be more people to work on that sound, more people to work on that. Someone would actually be doing what I did on the videos, and at least submit a report as to what he thinks is going on to a certain extent, and pass it on, or try to come up with a solution. They have teams, but it's not the way things are. So let me see, what do we got here? I'm just going to go to their homepage because I want to know for sure before I. The business model behind open source is not that the software is the moneymaker, but the fact that people are going to need services to get the software to work right is the moneymaker. Yeah, I've demonstrated that people need that, but if you're paying someone, who knows, an hour, $25. I mean, that's kind of low maybe, but that's cost of Windows. That's about 8 hours of work. So could someone that I paid $25 an hour in 8 hours resolve my Java problem, be able to ensure me that I get all my updates from Ubuntu, but at the same time I would never ever have to deal with Grub2 again. It would never reload, even though it's designed to do so. The whole system's integrated that way. No. And here's something else I was going to talk about. Okay, there's all this talk about the user having freedom to do whatever they want to, and these developers that are working on these projects that end up actually impacting people on the desktop, supposedly, or they say, they aren't imposing on anybody because they think everybody has the freedom to go and do what they want. Well, yeah, I'm also free to walk from Los Angeles to Miami, straight, and take only a backpack with me. But what kind of shape would I be when I got to Miami? It's impractical. There are thousands of packages installed on my Ubuntu system. I create a list of packages that are installed in Ubuntu, and there's 32 pages of at least 30 entries on each page in there. Granted, a lot of them do work right, but for the ones that don't work right, you can see how long it could take per package. And also, so the point is that what happens is Pulse Audio, when the distributions start throwing Pulse Audio into the mix, then the other projects that are around Pulse Audio that somehow interact with it, we're talking video like VLC or GUVC Viewer, or the thing I'm using to record right now, or even Firefox and Java. Who knows if Java's going to bend over backwards just because Pulse comes around, and that may be the answer. But there are a lot. there are a lot of different, Skype, right? They're going to be impacted by Pulse. And as those impacts take place, they start to not work right without pulse, right? Because they've compensated for the fact that pulse is there, and so maybe they expect pulse to be there, or maybe they have to give something up that used to work with ALSA, to grab that whatever it is pulse is, what I'm trying to say. So that's what I'm talking about. And so no, because the Linux community is a collaborative effort between programmers and end users and developers, they actually all have to walk in lockstep. You can't see. This is what will happen. Let's say I decide I was going to make my own distribution. I've done this. I've mentioned this before, when I was dealing with Windows. But at one point, Windows was saying, "Okay, we're just going to redesign. We're going to make our own." I don't know if they were saying this, but I have a vague memory of it. It could be true. It might not be true. But okay, and I'm not blaming them. They tried. They tried their best. In their own minds, I didn't agree with what they did, but in their minds, they tried their best, and that's what matters. But the point was that if I were to just take, okay, I'm just going to make my own. I'm going to make my own distribution, and I'm sick of KDE4, and I don't like this. No, I'm going to make my own. Let's say, and let's say I had enough staff to actually do that. Maybe in a year, I could churn out some kind of desktop, right? And then I say, oh, great, it's open source. I open the source. Well, depending on how good it works compared to the other ones, it may or may not end up getting adopted, may or may not. Like KDE 3 right now, even though I like it better, the fact is it doesn't integrate very well with Ubuntu ever since they switched their start system to the Upstart system. Not a lot of people really understand how it works. And I've been having, and you throw in CompUse into the mix, it's a recipe for disaster. You end up with a black screen eventually if you do as little as trying to change your screen resolution. And I learned that. So people have given up on KDE 3, even though they'd rather have that working. But because the leader of the KDE project, you can't just pin it on him, but basically him and a majority of the KDE developers, if not all of them, decided they were going to go in the KDE 4 direction. There's now just one guy, Timothy Pearson, he's doing his best he can, but now it's problematic to run KDE 3, at least in Ubuntu as far as I can see, and at a pace of every 6 months the newer version is going to come out. What's the chances that in Ubuntu 11.04 KDE 3 is going to work right when it's more or less tuned for Ubuntu 9 or 8, right? A lot of people are still running Ubuntu 8 because they don't want to deal with Grub 2.